Well, hello everyone, I'm Natasha. We're doing another romance recommendation video today. I did this video back in February, like around Valentine's Day, to get everyone prepared, for Single Awareness Day. But since then, you guys have given me so many suggestions. I have been reading a lot of romance. That first video, which I will link above if you want to check it out and you haven't seen it already, basically was like my backlog romance books from the last like 5 years. Now I'm going to be talking about the books that I have been reading since February, and then I'm also going to go into the books that I really want to get to but I haven't had time to get to, but I've heard that they're good in the last portion of this video. First, I have a duology series. We'll see. London Belongs to Me by Jacqueline Middleton. Last year, I was sent London Belongs to Me by Kirkwall Books for review, and I was also working with them last year. We went to New York together, which was really fun with my friends Maureen and Zoe. This year, they sent along the second book, which is London Can You Wait? The first one, I have a full review on it, and it was mentioned in my first romance recommendations video. I'll leave the review linked up above. This is actually on sale for $1.99 as an ebook, I think until the beginning of November, so you have time. If you want to read this one first, you can read the second one as a standalone. I would say no, don't do that. Read them together because it's just better as a full story. The first one is a new adult. The second one is a really new adult. The second one definitely has a lot more sexy times, which I do enjoy, so I'm not gonna be complaining. Just be careful if you don't want to read that type of stuff, but like nothing too descriptive at all. But they definitely walk the line between young adult and new adult, even though the character is 21. I think 22. I always think of new adult books with more sexy times, like more descriptive words, even though Sarah J. Maas has young adult books and there's a lot of descriptive, sex scenes in those. I really enjoyed my time with this one, and I think I like this one more. This one has a lot more drama. This one has a lot of drama too, but this one has like a lot of drama. Both of these books, I think Jacqueline does a really good job of kind of just getting you sucked in and obsessed. The first half of the book is always like a setup, and then there becomes this point where you're like, can't stop reading. We follow the character Alex Sinclair in the first one and in the second one too, but there's different points of view. And she moves from Florida to London to become a playwright after college, and she's got, some family problems back home. She also deals with panic attacks and anxiety. This book is really cute. There's a lot of like fangirl culture in this. That's just always fun, especially if you're a fangirl like myself. I haven't really come across another new adult book that does this, where it's just like, she's a fangirl, she's me. When I first read this book, I had never been to the UK. Now that I've been to Scotland, I really appreciated having that knowledge and knowing where things were in this one. So if you have studied abroad or if you've been to the UK, I think you'll really love these books. But I mean, even if you didn't, they're still really fun, especially if you want to go to London. She's like living the ultimate dream. After the aftermath of London Belongs to Me, Alex is in a relationship, but both parties of the relationship are becoming very successful on their own. Alex being a playwright and her boyfriend is a celebrity now. He has been cast in a Scottish TV show on the BBC. I was reading this and I'm like, this is Outlander. This is Outlander. I love this. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's like Sam Heughan, and I'm loving this, and it's great. Alex is in a dry season and her boyfriend is becoming like this huge success, and they're having problems. Alex is questioning herself in this one. She's having a hard time coming up with a new play. Her boyfriend is very successful, traveling everywhere, and like totally get that. In the first 20 pages, he's talking about his schedule. I finally understood this. I've never been busy before in my life until like the last few months. I don't know if I could have a boyfriend right now just from reading this, because if two creative people are in a relationships, it's really hard to make it work when schedules are crazy. If you want to get yourself a copy of London Belongs to Me or London Can You Wait, I'll leave it linked down below. Thank you to Kirkwall Books for sponsoring this portion of the video. In my first romance recommendations video, I talked about the book Forever by Judy Blume, which is what I read when I was 14 years old and was what sparked my interest in reading contemporary romance books. I read it before I read Twilight. My mom actually had me read it because she read it when she was that age. Forever by Judy Blume, I think, is a classic, but it is dated. It's like from the 70s. H&H have kindly sponsored this portion of the video, and they sent along basically the new Forever. This is I Never by Laura Hopper, and I really enjoyed this book. I haven't read a high school contemporary in a very long time, probably about 2 years. I usually like skip those nowadays and I go for, the new adult books. This book just took me back to high school. It's all about the first time, like deciding when, you want to have sex with somebody. Forever Powered by Judy Blume, it teaches you a lesson of, you know, maybe you shouldn't give everything to this one person because it's a big deal. This book teaches that same lesson, but it's modern. It kind of reminds me of a Twilight. We follow Janny King, a girl, basically like a cut and paste, like you could be in this story. This high school boy who's really cute and everyone loves him decides that he wants to go out with Janny, and he's a senior, she's a junior, and I think this book did an awesome job of like literally transporting me to my junior year. And I like cut and pasted like the cutest boy in my high school into this book. Big differences in this is that Janny's parents are getting a divorce. Both parents are kind of worried because this is like her first big relationship and they don't really know how to deal with this, like co-parenting. Her mom challenges Janny a lot about this relationship and like if this is really good for her, if she's too young to have this relationship, should she be making these adult decisions? I am a big firm believer in abstinence. I think these books are really, really, really important because all you want to do is grow up fast and you think you're an adult, but you're really not. I would definitely recommend you guys read them. If you're like 14, 15, 16, 17, even if you're older, I think you'll still enjoy it. My mom wants to read it now because she's like, oh, I love Forever. I really want to read this new one. A romance book that makes you think about your decisions that you make in life. And I love that. I'll leave this link down below if you want to check it out. So I read a lot of books on my phone. I read The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Marina Zapata. A lot of people had recommended this book to me and it was so good. It had me thinking about it for such a long time. Slow burn romance, which I love. Kind of like a hate to love. They have to get married. He's a Canadian and he's playing football for the US. She's his assistant. Ugh. I love this book so much. It's a pretty long book too. It's about 600 pages. It's a long one, but it's good. Another book for the young reader, and I didn't mention this in my last video, but this is another like backlog romance. It's Just Listen by Sarah Dessen. I have read Sarah Dessen's books all the way up to about 2012. I have not read her new ones and I would like to at some point, but if you haven't read a Sarah Dessen book, it's all about, you know, finding yourself, coming of age stories. There's always a very important theme running through these books, but Just Listen is my favorite. I've read this one 3 times. I read it 3 times in high school. If you're in high school, you'll probably like them. I would get on it. This was the best when I read it back then, and I hadn't experienced so much life. Next, I have History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. Adam Silvera is one of my very good friends, and I read this last year. I am so glad I read this. Adam is known for writing sad books. I actually don't think his books are that sad, because I've read some really sad books. The premise, the beginning of it is sad. But there's a lot of romance. There's a lot of drama in these books, especially at the end of this book. I didn't see like some of these twists coming. So basically, this book is about Griffin and his first love, ex-boyfriend, dies. That's the premise of the book. It happens in like the first 20 pages. It's not a spoiler, okay? There's also some steamy, sexy times in this. I haven't never reviewed it. I think I've hauled it, but I've never reviewed it. And so this is my review. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I can't wait to read They Both Die at the End. Next one as an ebook. After I read The Wall of Winnipeg, I downloaded like several of Maria Zapata's books. I still have not read them yet, but I read Karina Hale's Before I Ever Met You. Karina Hale is the author of the Experiment in Terror books. They're horror romances, which I really enjoyed a few years ago. This one was just a plain old contemporary. The main character goes to work for her dad, and she has a son, and she works for like the CFO, who is, you know, 40 years old. He's divorced, and they start having a little bit of a romance, like an office romance. They have to keep it secret, obviously, because she's an assistant, and she's also the daughter of the man who owns the business. This was just like a simple romance. Some sexy times, some drama. Not as good as her Experiment in Terror books, because those are, I love those a lot. I read Christina Lauren's Dating You, Hating You. This is the first standalone novel outside of the Beautiful Bastards series. I have been reading their stuff since 2010. Beautiful Bastards was a Twilight fanfiction, which got turned into a book series. This is their like first like one-off. This was really good. I am very obsessed with the trope of haters to lovers. I love that like kind of passion. So when this said hating you, I'm like, yes. There actually isn't much hate. This book tackles sexism in the office. This is all about 2 Hollywood agents. They represent like the big celebrities, actors, coming up actors, stuff like that. It's set in LA. There's a lot of talk of LA traffic, which I know very dearly, unfortunately. There's an agency that buys another agency, and that's how these 2 characters meet. Carter and Evie, whom I fan casted as Chris Pine and Anne Hathaway. Kirkus review says, truly a romance for the 21st century, a smart, sexy romance for readers who thrive on girl power, and that is exactly how I would describe it as well. There's a lot of like hijinks that happen because there's a lot of competition between these two. The bar is very tilted because he's a man and she's a woman, and I love that this topic is talked about because you don't see it enough in these books. This will be linked down below if you want to check it out. Let's take it back, way back to the classics. This is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. This is a book that I read after Ostentatious read all of Jane Austen's books, which I have talked about in a previous video. If you want to check it out, I'll have it linked up here. And I kind of go and I review each book and how I like them and the difference between them and which one's my favorite. I would say this is my new favorite classic. Jane Eyre was so enjoyable. I listened to about half the audiobook and I read half the book. It's hefty. It is a lot to read. If you have seen any of the adaptations, I would recommend you read the book. If you haven't seen the adaptations, then read the book because you'll be in for a surprise. This book was ahead of its time. There's obviously a lot of problematic stuff in every single one of these books that I talk about today, but they're romance books. There's tropes and you kind of have to know what you like and maybe what you want to stay away from. I feel like this is a really good classic novel. If you've never heard about Jane Eyre, we follow a governess, Jane, who is invited to teach this little girl at this huge estate, Mr. Rochester's estate. This is a gothic romance novel. There's a lot of twists and turns and kind of scary things that go on. Like, you're kind of horrified at some points in this novel. I brought A Dangerous Love by Beatrice Small to Scotland with me. I got about 43 pages in. This was not good. I'm gonna give it another try, okay? I feel like I had to talk about it because I mean, I put in the effort to try to read it, okay? I really wanted a historical romance book that was small, you know, not like, you know, the 900-page Outlander book. The writing wasn't very good. I'm just really disappointed. I really wanted to like it. It was slow-paced. The characters were a little bit corny. A lot of the stuff. I tried, okay? I also read Neanderthal Seeks Human, a smart romance by Penny Reid. A lot of people recommended this book to me because I really like Sophie Kinsella. I think I get a 4 out of 5, maybe a 3 out of 5 on Goodreads, maybe like a 3.5. The main character is like a tall, busty redhead. You know, she's kind of thick, really awkward. She loses her job, like everything goes wrong in like the first chapter. Fiance breaks up with her because he's cheated on her. So there's all like these things going wrong with her. There's this really handsome security guard who escorts her out of the office. There's something mysterious about him, and she gets hired at this new like security firm. It was cute at points, not as good as Sophie Kinsella. Let's go into the books that I'm hoping to read in the next like month or two. I have the new Christina Lauren Roomies. This one comes out on December 5th. Very excited about this. I will start reading this tonight. The back says, from Subway to Broadway to Happily Ever After, modern love in all its thrill, fun, and uncertainty has never been so compulsively readable as a New York Times bestselling #1 international bestseller author, I'm saying this wrong, new romance. Marriages of convenience are so inconvenient. Random House also sent me the new Sophie Kinsella book, surprised me. Another standalone novel, mostly charged new standalone novel about marriage and family and how those we love and know best can sometimes surprise us the most. Sophie's books have been more geared toward older readers, so we'll see if I enjoy this. I probably will. Next, I have Seized by Seduction by Brenda Jackson. And Brenda Jackson is a woman of color. This is all from the point of views of people of color, and I have not read something like this yet. I've read about the first 10 pages and I put it down because I've had to read other things. So far, I really like it. I opened this up on one of my boxes, if you've never seen that unboxing. One is an ex-con turned bodyguard, and the other is a psychic. She's a renowned psychic investigator, and they're like butting heads a lot, and he ends up having to protect her. Blah, 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 blah. Last book. This is Dark Lover by J.R. Ward. A lot of people have told me to read these books, and I really want to. I just don't want to read this one in public. Yeah, I was very tempted to bring this to the beach several times, but I go to the beach during the summer with my grandparents. Not a good one to take with your grandparents, but hopefully I'll be able to have some nice like rainy days and cozy up and read this like for 1 or 2 nights. That's my new romance recommendation video. Let me know some of the recent romances that you've been reading that you want me to check out, but I think I've got like 4 books here that I have to read, so hopefully I'll be able to get to those. I hope I've given you guys some ideas on what you want to read. Romance is my favorite genre, and I'm just gonna own it now, you know, because I am in love with the idea of love. So when I can read about it, just a happy person. Thank you all so much for for watching. Thank you to Kirkwall Books and HMH for sponsoring this video. I will see you guys all with a new video coming up. I make videos every Thursday. Sometimes. If you want to follow me on Instagram and see what I usually read, I usually update my Instagram stories. I'm Tashapolis. On Twitter, I'm Tashapolis. Everything is linked down below. I'll see you guys all in the future. Keep calm and fangirl on. Bye! Oh no. Honey, no. Mom!